Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 36th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. I see this trend going in the world of cinema discussion, so I'm going to get in on this too, and I'm going to discuss everything I watched in the month of April. I do think I'll be doing this for the next few months, see how it goes. Now, I'm not going to discuss every single thing I watched because some of it is stuff I've seen a bunch, stuff I just had on in the background and really pay attention to. Um, but most of this stuff I've never seen before, or some of it I have seen, and it's been a long time, so I wanted to rewatch it. But I will say, I'm a bit embarrassed at the amount of movies I'm about to inadvertently admit that I've watched in a 4 week span. I do have a life, guys. I just pick designated days and watch films all through the night while everyone else is asleep, kind of like a vampire. Now, I'm going to touch on these films real brief and just say whether I recommend them or not, or if I like them. Nothing crazy. All right, let's get into everything I watched in April. Okay, I watched Jules and Jim, 1962, directed by Francois Truffaut. A French film about two friends who meet under interesting circumstances and get caught up in a love triangle. But the love triangle gets really weird when the war goes on. Now, this movie was freaking great. Some great acting. It's fun. It hits on a bunch of emotions, and it really brings up a lot of different questions about friendship, love, and, the importance of things in life and the sacrifices we're willing to make for said love. Guys, I think this is an absolute must watch. This is possibly one of the best international films ever made. Triangle of Sadness, 2022, directed by Ruben Östlund. I believe this filmmaker is Swedish. Don't quote me or crucify me, but I think this is one of his first English language films. This movie was up for Best Picture, and I believe it did win the Palme d'Or this year. This film was funny. I liked it. It's about a couple, two young models who end up on a cruise that they kind of got put here by luck, and disaster strikes on this cruise, and there's a bunch of rich people, and it's really funny and weird and interesting and a little bit over the top, and it does get a little bit messy. The ending, it's got one of those endings. It's like, what? Where you just feel like, man, leaves you wanting a little bit more. But overall, I did like this movie. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. I would recommend it to the deep cinephiles. If you were a fan of Chazelle's Babylon, I would watch this. I do think this was better than that. A Separation, 2011, Asghar Farhadi, directed by Asghar Farhadi. This is a Persian film. This film was awesome, heartfelt, insane, about a couple who is getting separated, and in the process a guy gets accused of killing his nanny's unborn child. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because I would highly, highly, highly recommend this film. This is a film that brings up a ton of different themes and is absolutely one that will have you thinking about it long after you watch it. A fun one, Pitch Black, 2000, directed by David Twohy. I think I said his name right. Dude, this movie is a classic. I've seen this before, but it has been quite some time, and this movie was great as I remember it from when I was younger. Vin Diesel going hard, much better than the Riddick movies. This film is just a fun bang 'em up sci-fi movie. If you just need an hour and 45 minutes to kill with a good time, this is a good watch. Redline, 2009, directed by Takeshi Koike. This movie was freaking awesome. It's an anime movie about racing cars, baby. This film had a bunch of influences all throughout. You can see the Star Wars influence, the wacky racers, the speed racers, the Blade Runner. It's got this spacely vibe to it, but you got these races going on, and the races are insane. And it's just a fun little anime action movie that, if you're a fan of anime or action, I would highly recommend. Yee Yee, 2000, directed by Edward Yang. Rest in peace to Everett Gang. This was his last film. Yee Yee is a nice epic about a businessman who is kind of struggling with whether he's made some of the right choices in life regarding his relationships. And it follows him and his children. And throughout this film, this guy goes through and kind of revisits something that from his past and kind of assesses whether or not this is something that he should go down and try again. Pretty good film. I enjoyed it a lot. I would recommend if you like foreign language films and you're a deep cinephile, I would recommend it. But I can't say it's a film for everyone. Synecdoche, New York, 2008, directed by Charlie Kaufman. Charlie Kaufman, great writer, and this film is brilliant. I thought this film was one of the best things that I've ever seen. It's very reminiscent of Eight and a Half, if you're a fan of Federico Fellini's masterpiece. It's about a guy who is going through a whole bunch of stuff in his life. He thinks he's dying and he's having problems with his marriage, but he's a playwright and he's pretty celebrated, and he gets a grant and he gets to create something from scratch and present it. And the entire film is him going through his life, and this play is ever changing. That is all I'm going to say to you about this film. This film is it's a ride. It's funny, it's over the top, it's wacky, but it's heartfelt, emotional, it grips you. It's got a bunch of things in it, and it would all seem like it shouldn't make sense, but it does. It works so well, and I think that's a testament to some great writing and a stellar performance from Philip Seymour Hoffman. This is a film that if you are getting into the deeper side of cinema, I think this is one of the first ones you should watch if you want to get into films that aren't on the surface level. All right. Ganja and Hess, 1973, directed by Bill Gunn. Black exploitation film about vampires. Ganja and Hess is awesome. I'm a big vampire fan, so this movie appeals to me in every way. I like black exploitation films as well. This film is about a guy, a doctor, young black doctor in America who turns into a vampire, but not in a typical way. He ends up meeting a young girl and they live life as vampires together. But, you know, there's always a tragedy. And I think this film was actually very, very brilliant. I think it's extremely underrated. I would only suggest this film if you're a fan of 70s movies, if you're a fan of vampire movies, black exploitation films. I can't say this is for everyone though. What Happened to Baby Jane, 1962, directed by Robert Aldrich. This movie, my lord, blown away. First things first, Bette Davis, one of the best to ever do it. She was absolutely stellar in this film. This film is about two sisters who are pretty much at war with each other. And that's all I'm going to say because I would recommend this film to anyone. You must watch it. And the real life beef between Joan Crawford and Bette Davis comes out on this screen, and it's a must watch. Falling Down, 1993, directed by Joel Schumacher. Fun little movie with Michael Douglas in it, a guy who's going through a lot in his personal life, including the loss of a job and a divorce. And this man is just becoming unhinged as he goes through his day with these little annoyances. Um, this film is definitely all American. This film has some fun little, stuff in it. A lot of the content in it, a lot of people today wouldn't appreciate in the wake of the woke world we live in. But I do think this was a fun film, and I think it's one that if you like action dramas, I think you should check it out. This one's a heartbreaker. Alhazar Balthazar, 1966, directed by Robert Bresson. This movie broke my heart. A film about a donkey and a young girl who get separated and their lives coincide while they're apart. But man, the stuff that they both go through is heartbreaking, especially Balthazar the donkey. And I'm gonna tell you right now, Balthazar the donkey is the main character of this film. And although you don't hear a word from him, obviously, he says a lot with his emotions in his face. I will have to lay a warning. This film is not for everyone. If you are an animal lover and seeing things happen to animals bothers you, I would not watch this film. But if you want an emotionally gripping film that's just gonna really show you how the world is, I would absolutely watch this film. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, 1998, directed by Terry Gilliam. Great director, couple great leads with Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro. I've seen this movie before. It's been a long time, but man, hey, this is a cult classic, and it is for a reason. Super stylistic, the colors, the direction style, the authenticity. It's a great watch. It's a cool one to just kick back and watch with your friends. Um, for a reason, it's a cult classic, and if when you watch it, you will understand that. For all the people out there who like to experiment with substances, this is one for you. Secrets and Lies, 1996, directed by Mike Lee. One of the better films I watched. I believe this was a Palme d'Or winner. This movie was just awesome. It's about a young black girl whose parents die, her adoptive parents, and she goes on a quest to find her real mom. In that, she discovers that her real mom is a working class white lady, and they're extremely different, but they end up bonding and forming a relationship. And a lot of things come out, a lot of truths, a lot of lies. And it's just a great, great, great family drama. I would suggest to anyone. The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, 2006, directed by Mamoru Hosoda. This film was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a cool little anime film about a girl who figures out how to essentially time jump in short intervals. And she uses this to her advantage to essentially be perfect. She undoes mistakes and she can essentially see the future because, she can jump through time. Now, obviously, anytime you have something like this, when you mess with time, especially in films, there's consequences to it. And this film has, it's no different. So it's a good watch, though. Fun little anime movie. I don't think it is this director's best film, but it's definitely up there. Beau is Afraid, 2023, directed by Ari Aster. Now, I did a whole review on this film, and I guess I'll link it below if you'd like to see it. Beau is Afraid was a crazy movie. It was fun. It was funny. It was wild. It was polarizing. It was shocking. It was everything. It invoked every emotion you can have while you watch film. Um, Beau is Afraid. I did like the film. I'm still processing it. I cannot say I would recommend this film to everyone, but absolutely to the deep cinephiles. But I can't say it's for everyone. Pass of Glory, 1957, directed by Stanley Kubrick. This film, man, anti-war film, a quick, short little movie, man, an early one from Kubrick, but you could see where the genius was. This film was absolutely amazing. It made me so angry to see what was going on in this war and how the leaders treated their own people and the sacrifices these men went through and just the unfairness of it all. And it really brings into question, why should you fight for anything if this is the reward you're going to get? So this is a movie that's really going to make you look at war and the art of war and how does it affect us as a society, as a people, and are there better ways to go about doing things? This film brings up a ton of questions, and if you're a war movie guy, I would absolutely, absolutely recommend this. This is a movie I think anyone could get on board with. Coffee, 1973, directed by Jack Hill. Another blaxploitation film. You got the lovely Pam Grier here. Classic 70s action movie. This movie is freaking dope, man. It's fun. It's got some crazy stuff in it. I gotta say, there was some kills in this movie that really shocked me. And I was like, whoa. Highly recommend for 70s fans, action fans, blaxploitation fans. Great film. Really like this one. Castle of Cagliostro, 1979, directed by Hayao Miyazaki. This is Hayao Miyazaki's first feature, another anime movie. Guys, as you see, I am on a kick of anime movies. This film was great. You can see the comings of all of Hayao's style in this film. It's just laid the blueprint for his foundation and what was to come for the future. It's fun. It's got great action. It's funny. It's got likable characters. You know, it's nothing that's, oh my God, over the top crazy, but it's got everything you love in a classic anime film. This one here, guys, Paris, Texas, 1984, directed by Wim Wenders. I gotta say, this is easily one of the best movies on this list and that I've ever seen. This film was awesome. Gorgeously shot, cinematography out of this world, great score, great acting, great story. This film is about a guy who essentially walks out of the desert, has no clue what's going on. He ends up getting picked up by his brother, and we find out that his brother's been taking care of his son that he's left him. And when he's reunited with his son and his brother and the rest of the family, things get a little bit off guard. It is a great, great family drama, a road trip movie, and it's beautiful to look at. Highly, highly recommend to anyone. Summer Wars, 2009, directed by Mamoru Hosoda. Watched a few of this guy's films this month. Summer Wars was freaking dope. Another good anime movie. Like I said, I am on a kick, guys. This movie is so much better than Belle. Belle, that came out a couple years ago, directed by the same guy. He kind of took what worked in this movie and tried to replicate it in Belle, and it just did not work the second time around. But the first time around in Summer Wars, it definitely works, and it works very well. Summer Wars is a cool movie about a social media world that kind of coincides with real life that gets hacked and all hell breaks loose. And the hacking in this social media app has consequences on the real world. It's insane. Absolutely recommend for anime fans. Barry Lyndon, 1975, directed by Stanley Kubrick. This movie is incredible in every way. This goes up there with Paris, Texas. It's not only one of the best on this list, but one of the best I've ever seen. I absolutely love this movie. It's a 3-hour epic about the rise and fall of Barry Lyndon. Guys, I'm not going to tell you a thing about this movie. I highly, highly recommend it. One of the best period piece costume dramas you ever see. It's on par with Fanny and Alexander. The Shape of Water, 2017, directed by Guillermo del Toro. One of the best directors. Shape of Water was a good movie. It was a fun movie about a mute woman who, back in, I think it takes place in the 40s or 50s. I don't remember. I think it's the 50s. She works at a company. It's like a water company, and they end up getting this fish man, and he has human-like qualities, and he develops emotions, and she ends up falling in love with this fish guy, and she sets out to rescue him from these evil people. Great film. Great film. It was fun. I liked it a lot. I would suggest it to, anyone who likes awkward romance movies. I would definitely suggest it to them. It was a good film. It had some good performances in it, good actors, recognizable faces. Guillermo does his thing as usual. Not his best movie, but definitely worth watching. Mission Impossible, 1996, directed by Brian De Palma. Young Tom Cruise, one of my favorite movie stars, one of my favorite actors. This movie, listen, the first Mission Impossible, it's cool. It's got the fun stuff in it. Brian De Palma did his thing, especially the scene where he's coming down in the little vault and the sweat's about to drip off his nose. Oh, that's nice and tense. But let's keep it real. Mission Impossible. I'm gonna. This is just my opinion. Mission Impossible definitely doesn't hold up to the new Mission Impossibles, the original. It's cool, but the action's a little bit unrealistic and unbelievable. Like when they're like when Jean Reno's character's flying the helicopter in the tunnel, man. Like, come on, dude. Like that, it's just a little much, but it's a fun watch. It's a cool little action movie, but I don't think it. Yeah, I don't think it reinvented the game, but it definitely kicked off one of the best action franchises of all time. Would I recommend it? Sure. If you like action movies, go for it. The Secrets in Their Eyes, 2009, directed by Juan Jose Campanella. This movie was really, really good. A really cool crime thriller, romance drama that, it's about a guy. He's a retired cop and now he's a writer and he's thinking back to a case that happened a long time ago. And as he's laying out the story and going through the things, he's kind of uncovering this case that never really got solved. And he ends up finding some stuff out and ends up it's just crazy, man. I don't even it's so hard to explain without telling you too much of the movie because I definitely would highly recommend this. Foreign language film, guys, get your reading glasses on. It's a great film. Well worth the watch. This one here, Only Lovers Left Alive, 2013, directed by Jim Jarmusch. This film was absolutely beautiful and amazing in every single way. A romance drama about two vampires who live separately but end up reuniting. And it stars Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston, who are both absolutely amazing in here and are just so convincing as vampires. This movie is really just like a week in the life of vampires living in the modern world. And I absolutely adore it. I adore it. As soon as I watched it, I went and bought it on Blu-ray, and I've already watched it twice since. That's how much I like this film. It was beautiful. I'm a big vampire fan, like I mentioned before. It it's great, guys. If you like vampire films, I would recommend this all day long. But if not, maybe not. Carlito's Way, 1993, directed by Brian De Palma. Essentially Scarface 2.0. Carlito's Way is a fun movie. It's a good movie, good little crime drama. You get a brilliant performance from freaking Sean Penn playing Al Pacino's lawyer, man. He's got that look down. And I'm pretty sure Ken Rosenberg from the Grand Theft Auto series is based off this character. Uh, it's absolutely a fun ride. It's got some crazy action in it, some nutty stuff, good cast. You got Al Pacino, Sean Penn, John Leguizamo, Luis Guzman. You got a lot of recognizable faces in this movie. This is a good if you like action crime movies. If you like Scarface, I would definitely check out Carlito's Way. I won't say it's as good, but if you were a fan of Scarface, definitely check it out. It's a good crime movie. The Hunger, 1983, directed by Tony Scott. I was really excited going into this movie. I had never seen it, and this is a film um, with David Bowie, and I was under the impression that David Bowie was going to be in this whole film. He is not. Susan Sarandon's in it though, and she's great. And I can't remember the other chick in it. The other chick who plays the other vampire, she was good too. This movie, it's a weird one, man. There was aspects of it I really liked. There was some vibey moments in it that I really liked, some good scenes, but overall, the whole story just didn't click and work for me the way I was hoping it would. I thought it was okay. It's not Tony Scott's best movie, that's for sure. Um, if you're I would recommend this to 80s fans only. I wouldn't even say I would recommend it to vampire fans. As a vampire film, it's just okay. As an '80s film, I think it works a little bit more. But it's a weird one, man. It's definitely not going to be for everyone. I can't say I'm super hyped to watch it again ever. Shutter Island, 2010, directed by Martin Scorsese. Saw this back in high school when it first came out, and I hadn't seen it since. So I wanted to revisit it. It's a good film. It's fun. It's nice seeing Leo come undone, but I just don't, in my personal opinion, it doesn't hold up, I think, as well as I think when I first watched it. When I saw it back in the day, I liked it a lot more. I still think it's a good film. I think it's well crafted to the max. It's Smarty and it's Leo. You know, they do their thing all the time, but it's definitely not their best collaboration. I will say, if we're talking about a man going mental film and he has to realize things, I would prefer A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe and Ron Howard, if we're being honest. But if you like psychological thrillers, definitely check out Shutter Island. I definitely think it's a film everyone should see at least once. It's a great watch. The Box Trolls, 2014, directed by Graham and Abel and Anthony Stacey. This is a stop motion Leica film. Uh, this movie was okay. Decent little kids flick about these weird troll people, and they live in they have cardboard boxes as kind of their protective outer shell to say. Um, they hide in them. They're scared, and the town has a perception of these trolls that they are violent killers, and this that they are not. And of course, you know that's going to get exposed later because they have a child, a young human, who's a part of their gang. And of course, this gets found out, and all hell breaks loose. Nothing we haven't seen before. It's decent. You know, you can put it on for your kids. They'll like it. I'd recommend it for, if you're a fan of stop motion, if you're a fan of Leica, I recommend it to you. If you have kids, I recommend it for your kids, but it's definitely not one for everyone. Nothing that's going to break the mold. House, 1977, directed by Nobuhiko Obayashi. This movie is freaking great. This is a Japanese horror comedy film about a group of girls who goes and visits one of their aunts, and the house is haunted and all hell breaks loose. This movie is nuts. It's fun, it's wild, it's got crazy editing, it's very 70s, it's really silly, it's goofy. It's one of those movies that it's very hard to it's one that I would say you just gotta watch. I absolutely adore this film. I think it's great. I immediately copped it on Criterion Blu-ray. I did not care. I love it, and I do think that everyone should watch this movie, even though most people probably won't like it. Cries and Whispers, 1972, directed by Ingmar Bergman. Arguably the best filmmaker ever. You can argue with me all day long. I'm not saying he is, but we can definitely have a conversation about it. This guy, everything he makes is gold. Cries and Whispers is a great film, a cool period costume drama about a girl with cancer, and she's being looked after by her two sisters and her nanny. And these other three women, they all have their own demons going on in their personal life, and it all comes out the sicker the one sister gets. Now, this film is it's crazy, man. You're gonna see some crazy stuff in here, and it's a short movie, man. It's only an hour and a half. You see some crazy stuff in here. I tell you what, something about Angmar's style is just it grips you in, man, and it locks you right into his stories, and you can't escape until it's over. Another classic for him. If you're an Ingmar fan and you haven't seen this, absolutely watch it. Honestly, if you just like cool dramas and crazy twists and stories, I would watch this movie. The Watermelon Woman, 1996, directed by Cheryl Dunye. This is an independent film directed by a young black queer black lady. And the reason I mention that she's queer is because this is a queer film. It's an LGBT film. This movie was surprisingly much better than I thought it was going to be. Low budget film. I believe this was this woman's directorial debut. It's cool. It's a Philly movie, so I live in the Philly area, so that's cool. Um, it's about a young black filmmaker who wants to make a movie about the watermelon woman who was this actress who played the mammy type roles in the 30s films, who often went uncredited and didn't get a lot of recognition for their contributions to film, ladies that play these roles. But this specific woman, the watermelon woman, she's making a documentary about in the film. And what's cool about the film is she gives you a documentary on this woman while also you get this film about this girl going through her own struggles dealing with her sexuality, her race and identity and things like that. But it's a really funny film. It was very funny. I think it hits on a lot of tropes that were definitely more prevalent maybe around when the film came out, but a lot of it still rings true to today. And, I definitely think it's a staple for LGBT films. If you're into LGBT movies, independent films, low budget, you like to see what people can do on a shoestring budget, I would absolutely check this film out. It was very good. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, 2005, directed by Tim Burton. I'm gonna make this quick. This movie's terrible. I would not recommend it. Watch Willy Wonka. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. The To-Do List, 2013, directed by Maggie Carey. This is an Aubrey Plaza movie, and it's about a senior getting ready to go to college, a young woman, and she makes a list of things she wants to do with men before she goes to school. And you can guess what kind of things I'm referring to. This movie's raunchy, it's stupid, it's goofy. Um, it has its moments, but overall, I did not enjoy this film that much. The humor is just a little bit. I don't know. It feels too forced. It's got a good cast though. It's a lot of recognizable faces. I thought there was some decent performances in it. It's not a terrible film, but it's not my kind of movie. I thought the comedy was dry. I thought it lacked a lot for me. It needed a lot of help. But guys, that's everything I watched in the month of April, and this ended up being way longer than I anticipated. I did not realize the amount of films I watched in the month as I was laying them out, my lord. Guys, let me know what you watched in the month of April. Let me know if you've seen any of these films, which ones you like, don't like. Uh, yeah, just let me know what you want me to discuss in later videos. Guys, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. If you made it this far, you might as well go ahead and do that for me. I really, really appreciate that, guys. A lot of stuff is coming down the pipe. So you want to stay tuned, guys. I'm going to get better at this for you. Guys, I appreciate the watch. I'll see you next week. And don't forget the popcorn.